at what the GBP is doing now, because my exit was basically just before these lows here. So we can see it was 1.2015. Let's use the hourly for context here. So just put this in 1.2015. So it was here. So the market did, after my exit, the market did move down further, and it retraced after that. So this, as I've mentioned in quite a few of the videos, my preference is when shorting to ideally take some profit off the table before the previous low. So if we look at the daily, this here, without having this hindsight now, this here would have been the previous lower low. So my objective in this was to take money off the table before the price reached this low here, because as it approaches these levels, it does have a tendency to either bounce or break through. And in this instance, it did pierce it slightly, and it did move lower, but it did, after that, in today's market, it's looking like it could retrace further. So overall, I'm definitely still bearish on this. It's just looking for the opportune times to enter this so that you get the best value for money. So for this to short now, it really just it needs to pull back a bit to give a bit more value for money, allowing for a stop loss in a more sensible place and a lot more scope in terms of what profit you could get out of the move. So yeah, that's just one of the things to bear in mind in terms of taking profits. Just be aware of where the price action is, where the previous lows are, where you know, obvious areas of support and resistance are. Having stops above resistance if you're shorting and below support if you're going long. Just use the price action to guide your trade. So yeah, not looking for anything else on the GBPUSD at the moment. So if we look at the open trades that I've got, now these have gone adversely against me, and it's super important just to be accountable for the things that don't go right, because you can see there that, you know, there's profits I've taken on GBPUSD. I could go on all day about, you know, how wonderful that was, but the truth is I don't know what the market's going to do. I'm just positioning myself around what could happen and planning for that accordingly. So we can see at the moment, let's have a look at the AUDUSD. So this is one I've been in for a while. So this I entered in mid-August. 12th of August was the first position. Scaled into this with 3 positions. So my maximum risk on this to the short side. Now the price action in this has changed significantly since yesterday. So it's telling a slightly different story than when I'd made my initial decision to enter into the trade. So this is something that I'm likely to manage based on that new information. So we can see on the daily, there's still some good context in this move being a downward move. It's still bearish overall. Daily and weekly give support that rationale. Now at the moment, what we're seeing on the daily is the price has started to retrace and start to come into this resistance area here. So what I'm going to be looking out for today is for the price to maintain a level below this area, because using the standard deviation channel as one point of reference, we can see that as it reaches this, what I call an overbought area, it will have a tendency to move back towards the average, towards the mean, if it truly is going to continue in a downtrend. And it's at the upper edge of that now. So it's interacted with it today already, and there's also this horizontal resistance that we can see as well, which gives reason to believe that the price could find some trouble moving much higher than this level. So my stop is still in a sensible place above here because it's outside of all this kind of trouble area, but it is just waiting and seeing what the price action does as it kind of unfolds today. Now this may be something I decide to actually scale out of, because the price hasn't done what I wanted it to do. I wanted, you know, the premise for this was looking at this price action here on the lower time frames here, You know, yesterday I would have seen this, and I wanted it to break this support, this tricky support here, because it did find another low here and then move much lower. It hasn't done that. It started to make higher highs and higher lows as well, if we look at these lower time frames. So the story's changed, and that's one of the advantages of having a wider type of stop that makes sense on multiple time frames. My stop loss on the daily was way up here above a lower high. It was also out of kind of congestion areas on the lower time frames as well. So when the price does move adversely against me, it means that I've got more outs, more opportunities to manage that, to either break even or reduce a profit or reduce a loss. So again, starting out, I would suggest that you don't, you know, play the game of basically have the profit, have the price hit your take profit, have it hit your stop loss, one of those two. But this is one of the ways that you can, you know, if you're comfortable with managed trades, as you get just more familiar with how price action could work. So in this instance, because this has been invalidated, let me blow this up a bit. Because this price action here has been invalidated, it's stopped making lower lows, lower highs. What I'm going to consider is taking out one of these positions, because it's not really that 3% type of trade anymore where all the stars are aligned on all the time frames. It was when I, you know, previously when I was seeing all of this, but the story changed. So I need to manage that accordingly. And I think it's super important to basically just show you that, you know, it's not all profits and all good times. There will be instances where you need to manage trades or take losses, and that's a part of trading. And if you're not, you know, ready for that, and you just don't have a plan based on that, or you risk too much in instances where the price is going adversely against you, then really you're not going to last the long term. Because, you know, from the outset I've said this, look back at the videos, I've got 3% in this. If this hits me 3% and I'm stopped out, fine, I've done the best I could based on what the price action was there, and it was at the time of entry, it was a high probability. I'd assess the probability as being more in my favor than not. So yeah, that's the way she goes. That's the way she goes. So we'll have a look at how this progresses. I'll come back to you tomorrow and discuss that a bit further. So let's see what other opportunities there might be. So CAD CHF. I would be bearish on this, but the 4 hourly isn't really great at the moment to determine this. So in terms of what I'm looking for, in case you're not familiar with the approach, I'm using these 5 different time frames: daily, 4 hourly, 15, 5. I'm looking for, because I'm bearish on this, signs of lower lows, lower highs on the daily, first of all, which we're kind of seeing. It's only one cycle, if you like, in terms of that, and it's slightly overbought because it's interacted with our upper edge of our standard deviation, which I've put around this lower move. So there is signs that the price could revert to the mean and move lower, but I also look for time frame agreement on these lower time frames as well. So at the moment, what worries me is this retrace here is still in the 4 hourly, it's still very bullish. It hasn't broken that price structure. You can see these lows are still getting higher, highs are still getting higher. So for this to make sense, really it would need to break this standard deviation and start to show lower highs as well, which would, I mean, it's starting to appear in the hourly here, but yeah, it wouldn't be a great trade to short just yet. Just wait for more information. So let's see what else there is. No, timing on this wouldn't be great. So next, nope, this is too oversold, so I'd be looking to go short on this, and shorting at this point is just too late. We want the price to be up nearer to up here as it was previously, so interacting with this upper edge, the standard deviation, for better value for money. This, when I say the price is too expensive to short, this is what I mean. It's just too late to consider shorting this. You could do what's called a fade trade, which is basically trading the retrace, but that's not my preference for a few reasons. But this is just too expensive, too late to trade. Nope. So I'm looking for good price action as well. We can see on the daily how this is quite flat. It's finding support at the moment. So it's not really a discernible type of trend that we're seeing here. It's just too flat. It's encountering support. So you don't want to sell into support. You want to avoid selling into support because there's just less potential for the price to move. You should look for opportunities to sell off of resistance. So if the price, how could you, let's say this was a downtrend, I'll probably find better examples. Let's say redeeming this. So this here is resistance because the price is failing to go higher. We can deem this, let's just assume this is was a downtrend, a more clearer downtrend. So we'd be looking for opportunities to sell, to go short off of resistance. So if it comes back and it starts to interact at these type of levels, there's just more profit potential to the downside before it encounters potential support again. So yeah, look to sell off of support, or sell off of resistance. Don't sell into support. The other way to look at this is you could sell breakouts. So as the price approaches this level, and if it were to break lower, that could be a sign that the price is going to continue to move lower as well. So extend and continue to move lower. My preference isn't to trade breakouts because of where the stop loss would be based on the daily time frame. It's a slightly more risky approach in my opinion, but certainly if you do trade breakouts, if you based on the daily, then of course it's going to happen across the lower time frames as well. One way that you could trade breakouts is using the lower time frames as a premise for entry. So if this were to break this low here, it would be a breach, if you like, of these lows here on the hourly. Let's blow this up. So it would have to break through here. And what would happen, we can already see there's some nice price action on the hourly. You know, these lows are getting lower, these highs are getting lower. So you could look to wait for it to break on the hourly, which would be multiple time frame break, and look for some value based on the lower time frame. So for the price to pull back and interact, say, with our average standard deviation here, this middle line, or the upper edge. And that's one way that you could potentially trade breakouts. Just trading on the break for me, so as soon as it breaks this low here, you're just leaving yourself susceptible to fake outs where it potentially goes a bit lower and then pulls back. Something similar to the GBP that we saw, pound. Let's quickly go back to that. Pound USD. You can see that it's kind of in yesterday's candle. If we deem these levels here, so that was the previous low, it's gone past it and then it's pulled back. You can make money off of those type of moves, but really for me the risk is the first point of reference. So what can go wrong, and that's really what to look at first of all. So where were we on EURCAD, EURCHF? No, this is coming into support here. So this is a similar story to the EURCAD. This is EURUSD, very similar correlated pair here. In that it's coming into support, so that wouldn't be one I want to trade. EURGBP, yeah, considering longs on this. Got some nice upward movement here, higher highs, higher lows as well. It's found some support here. We've had no discernible signs of it moving lower. And we've also, on the 4 hourly, we've seen it break the price structure that was kind of concerning me yesterday. So yesterday I was saying, right, okay, we've got this price action here, but there's been no signs of the price giving higher highs as of yet, because this is all the information we had, right? It was only moving like this. So now that it's started to move past this previous lower high, it's firstly breached this standard deviation channel, which is a good sign. And this means I can look to the lower times for signs of bullishness. The lower time frames are still kind of flat. I don't like the way this is finding support here, and also up here. It's still very boxy, but that's the point. Is in terms of structuring this, stop loss below here, it still gives great value for money if you go long on this. So you could aggressively enter this. I say aggressively because our lower time frames aren't showing signs of ideal signs of bullishness yet, but you could aggressively go long on this as the price action stands now, or you could more conservatively wait for it to break this resistance and then pull back. But the point is, we've got a nice reference point for our stop loss below these type of lows here, which means that on a 1-to-1, so let's say we take an entry around here, stop loss about 65 pips, it would take profit to around these kinds of levels, which stacks. I mean, yeah, 2-to-1 viably out of this, 3-to-1, you could potentially ride the profits, potential profits to these type of levels here. But even as a 1-to-1, that stacks up. So this is probably one I'm going to look into a bit more once I'm offline. And also, yeah, the thing to be wary about on this is the swap going long on this. It's quite a hefty swap. With my broker, it's 5.6 per lot. So that would just be something to be wary about, carrying this position, over a prolonged period of time. Especially what we're going today. No, it's only Tuesday today. So yeah, just be wary of how much it's going to cost to have a position over a longer period of time, and this would be quite an expensive position. But definitely looking for longs on this. I'll update you if I do take that position. EURGBP, no. No. Decent reversal candle, but this is another one to potentially fade, so go against the trend. That low there, so we've seen this reversal candle here come off of this low, which has had some significant support previously, and zonal support and resistance. So viably this could be looking for a retrace, using the Fibonacci to just help decide how far this could be. It's meaningless. I don't use the Fibonacci in isolation. I use price action more so. So really the problem areas for me, or taking profits before this previous low here. The next type of area is this type of low here, this level. It's quite a wide stop you'd need on that because of the length of that that candle. But yeah, below here with a 1-to-1, it'll be tight. Maybe a 1-to-1 is possible on this. But yeah, if you do fade trade, that's something to consider in today's market. But not my cup of tea, as I say. No, that's not tradable. No. It's double bottomed. Looks like it's coming back. Not tradable, but just looking at how this is developed. So this is another example of just watching out for those previous lows. because what the price has done here, you can see, like I keep harping on about taking profits before a previous low. This is one of the reasons why, because as it comes down, this is going to be a sensitive area. It's come near to it. It doesn't look like it's come right on it, but it's come down. It's done a double bottom. It's pulled away. Still definitely bearish on this, but it's just something to be aware of. If you are looking to take profits off before then, there's always going to be an opportunity to get back on this as it pulls back and finds value. You can take a position in readiness for the break if that occurs. But yeah, this isn't tradable just right now. Let's see what else we got. So this is GBPUSD. Nope. GBPUSD, same as GBPJPY. I've already discussed this. No. NZD CAD. No. 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 Yeah, I mean this looks good in terms of the daily price action, but it's this move here that's just a concern. So this, what I've captured in the 4 hourly here, this is still quite bullish here. So I would just want to see better signs of lower lows and lower highs before considering that. USDJPY. God, these look a mess. Let's tidy these up. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's still a good reference point. I would have mentioned this yesterday. What I said yesterday still holds true. We still got nice signs of bearishness on pretty much all the time frames. This is good here as a reference point for our resistance that we're seeing in this lower high. We can deem this in the price. So it's just crazy resistance around there. It's several days in a row. So it means just placing our stop above these levels. We've got some signs of bearishness on these lower time frames to enter. So yeah, shorts on this, even on a 1-to-1 reward to risk. Let's call it 100. Yeah, it's around these levels. Yeah, it's a viable short off USDJPY. What else is there? And Bitcoin, again, not one I trade, but I still have a look just in case anyone does. Everything I said in previous videos still holds true. Would have been bullish on this. Stops below this level here. This support that we're seeing, take profit levels here and viably here and beyond. So yeah, bullish on this, but yeah, it's just probably going to take a few days to develop. Did I talk about this one? This is the one I've got, AUDJPY. So no, I don't think I did. So this is the position I've got in. So this is nearing a stop loss as well. This is again, I literally can't remember if I've talked about this from the outset. I need to have a better format. But this is the other position that I'm in alongside the AUDUSD. This is come very near to hitting my take profit. To hitting my stop loss. And again, it's one of those things that I'm comfortable with. That, you know, if that happens, it happens. I was happy. If you look at yesterday's video, you'll see the premise for the setup, and the price action didn't go the way that I wanted it to go. We can see similar to the AUDUSD, which is you know, quite correlated as well. So I'm heavily kind of for the AUD or the Aussie dollar getting weaker. Because I'm short on two of these currencies that cross with the AUDUSD. I was anticipating this move would move down and a break of these previous lows here for it to move past this, you know, support. It didn't. It started to make higher highs, same way as the Aussie dollar did. Aussie USD, and it's I mean, it's come within a few pips of a stop there, but I haven't moved it. You can see that the stop loss here, so it's just around £100, but what I wanted to do was clear this previous resistance that I saw in the price. There's a good chance this is going to get stopped out, but the way I've managed this is, rather than going for the original profit target now that was around here, so it was gonna be around here in terms of a take profit. You know, stuff's changed in the price action, so it means I need to just be aware of that and manage my risk accordingly. So I'm taking my take profit to protect my capital now up to around break even. So this means that, you know, I'm either going to get stopped out or break even, and that's because this price action isn't doing what I wanted it to do. Also, this area of support is going to be pretty tricky to overcome that. So yeah, it's just about not hoping for the market to do what I want it to do, but just reacting to what I'm seeing in the price, and just making sure that I'm not risking too much for that. So yeah, hopefully that has given you some few ideas for today. I'll be back again tomorrow with further updates, and again, if you've got any questions, just feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll get back to those. All right, see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Bye.